Live and about, looks good. Here we are. You're ready.
Great. Good evening and welcome to the Chaska Human Rights Commission meeting of April 22nd, 2021. As you can tell, this meeting looks a little different. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we are holding our meeting via video teleconference. Because the City Council has declared a local emergency for the COVID-19 pandemic, state statutes allow us to hold our meetings remotely. Even though we are not meeting in person, we want to make sure that the public can participate. If you have joined our Zoom meeting, you will notice that you are muted. We have a moderator on the call who will unmute those who wish to speak during the public comment of our meeting. Public comments will be reserved for visitor presentations, public hearings, or special circumstances determined by the Commission. Once we reach those parts of the agenda, I will ask if there are any public comments. If you wish to speak and have joined the meeting by computer or your tablet, please click on Participants on the bottom of your screen and then select the Raise Hand icon. If you wish to speak and have joined the meeting by phone, please press 9 to raise your hand. Once your hand is raised, the moderator will announce your name or phone number and unmute your line. Please remember that public comment is provided at the discretion of the Commission, and it is meant to provide productive discourse on topics related to the City of Chaska. Speakers shall refrain from comments or behavior that is deemed disorderly, derogatory, obscene, indecent, or off topic. Any person engaging in such behavior or speech or action may be muted or removed from the meeting. Those of you who are watching on Comcast Channel 15, please be aware of the following. Some of the commissioners, actually I believe all of the commissioners, city staff and presenters are participating in the meeting remotely. There is a delay between the live meeting and the broadcast. All commission actions will be taken by a roll call vote. We are working very hard to make sure that you can be heard as we protect everyone's health and safety. Thank you for your patience as we continue to work through this unprecedented situation. Nate, would you please call the roll call?
Commissioner Haga.
Here.
Commissioner Welvert.
Here.
Commissioner Castillo.
Here.
Commissioner Sienna White.
Here.
Commissioner Martin Hubbard.
Here.
Commissioner Lisa White.
Here.
And Commissioner Carlson.
Here.
So absent tonight would be Commissioners Spreadbury, Hughes, and Sanderson.
Excellent.
And I know Commissioner Sanderson is attending a event at being sponsored by the Arts Consortium, our Parks Department. Tonight it's a workshop called Empowering Self Through Art. And this is their last session tonight. And I know she's looking forward to reporting back to the group about her experience through that as well. So.
Thank you, Nate.
Mm-hmm.
We've sent out an agenda and, pardon me. Are there any additions to the agenda? Then may I have a motion to adopt the agenda, please?
So moved, Haga.
Second.
Motion made by Kaylee, seconded by Lisa White. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye or yes when Nate does the roll call.
Commissioner Haga.
Aye.
Commissioner Welvert.
Aye.
Commissioner Castillo.
Aye.
Commissioner Sienna White.
Aye.
Commissioner Hubbard,
Aye.
Commissioner Lisa White,
Aye.
and Commissioner Carlson.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Excellent. Next up on our agenda is our open forum and guest presentation. And sadly, Marshall Grange, our Parks and Recreation Director for the City of Chaska, is not able to be with us this evening. But I believe Nate is going to try to step in and fill that role for us.
Yep. Yeah, I'll do my best. I know I'm no Marshall, that's for sure. But he does send his regards and wishes he could be here, but is feeling a little under the weather due to his receiving a second round of the vaccination for COVID. So I think he'll come out of it just fine, but hopefully we'll see him again sometime soon. But Aaron Link, who's one of the staff people in the Parks and Rec department, did put together a nice summary to assist me. So I will go through that. And it's a few pages long, written out. What I'm going to do is summarize it for you all, and I'll follow up with emailing it out so that you all have it, because there's a lot of good information on there about different events and activities that Parks and Rec are planning coming up. So I'll go through and let me know if you have questions. I'll do my best to try with that as well. So going through the list, they want you to know that they are preparing to hold a new soccer program at Riverview Terrace Fields. And so they're looking to really target 7th and 8th graders through that program, recognizing that there's a lot of kids that live in that neighborhood, and hopeful to connect with them, but it will be open to the community at large. So hopefully building connections and community through soccer at Riverview Terrace at the soccer fields that they have there. They want to encourage participation from Latino youth, but also students across the community in the 7th and 8th grade ages. They are exploring sponsorship and grant opportunities so that hopefully the program could be offered at little to no cost is a goal that they have. So if you have any ideas about that side of it, grants that you're aware of or other sponsorship opportunities, that would be something definitely to talk about. Or if and on any of these, if you've got ideas on or input for the Parks and Rec department to be considering on these programs, we're anxious and excited to hear that from you all. So I just think that helps them make it better. The next one they have listed is the Empowering Self Through Art workshop, which I mentioned during roll that Commissioner Sanderson is attending that this evening. It was a 6-week workshop, and tonight is their last night of that. And what that is about, and I think we've talked about it a little bit before, so you may be familiar, is to learn about public art and photography and improv comedy, to share perspectives and learning about inclusion and finding your voice to be used in creating community. And so that's kind of what that is about, is those topics, is bringing people together to have valuable discussions and interact in a fun, positive way to build community. Learning strategies for handling difficult conversations, meeting new people, gaining deeper understanding of our similarities and our differences are all goals of that program. So I think it'll be really interesting to hear from Commissioner Sanderson when she's back next month, and she shares her experience and reflects on that. And that is an interesting partnership. This is one that Parks and Rec partnered up with Carver County Arts Consortium, which you may be aware, maybe recall if you're one of our more tenured Human Rights Commission members. I think we talked about the Human Rights, the Carver County Arts Consortium is now occupying space in the community center. So if you've been up there recently, I think they moved in, I want to say October, November last year, because they were there for the holiday season. They occupy space that used to be sort of a cafe area. So there's a shop that they operate out of there, but they've also been doing a lot of partnerships on programming and also programming the gallery space outside of the theater entrance at the community center. It's really interesting things that are coming out of that, and looking forward to see the creative ideas that continue to grow. Cricket. So I don't know if you saw recently, this was discussed and actually approved to proceed at the council meeting this past Monday night on the 19th. There's going to be a cricket pitch built at McKnight Park, kind of in the center of the soccer field complex that's out there. And I don't know if you know as much about cricket as I do. It's very little, but what I've learned through this process is that a cricket field is massive. It's a very large area. We're talking multiple soccer fields large. So we're fortunate that we've got McKnight Park that provides that space, and it's going to work out really well to have that pitch space, which ends up being sort of a gravel base to it, because it gets a lot of use with running and throwing the cricket ball. And there's a sort of a certain way that needs to be created. So that'll be built there, and kind of in between the soccer fields, so the soccer fields can continue to serve that purpose in addition to opening up opportunity for cricket. We've partnered with a cricket association that's excited to be established in Chaska here and sort of working in the Southwest Metro generally. And they'll be doing some games and coming together around that sport. And so what Parks and Rec is planning is basically an introduction program to the game of cricket, and focused on youth primarily to learn the basics of cricket and hopefully get the youth prepared to play at a competitive level. So what they're really trying to do is inspire that next generation of cricket players and get the youth engaged and grow the sport in that way. So we're really excited to have that opportunity and to have that partnership and the ability to engage with kids in a new way that way too. And I'm personally excited because the cricket club did invite Chaska staff to come out once it's built and kind of do a little game against each other. So we'll get to learn a little bit and understand the game a little bit better. And I'm really excited about that. Next one, Chaska Community Center Art Gallery. So I want to give you all an update. I think this one is one that we sort of had a lot of involvement in planting the seed on and is maybe going to be able to move forward. So talking about the Green Card Voices program. So Aaron Link has been helping me talk and reconnect with Green Card Voices and explore opportunities as to whether we could do something. I know we've talked about maybe there's an outdoor opportunity. I think as things are continuing to open up, we're able to envision a future as we get into summer and into next fall that we can start, bringing people together again, whether it be indoor or outdoor. And so what they've been talking about recently is targeting mid-August into mid-September to host the Green Card Voices exhibit at the gallery space. And so this is preliminary and tentative. We're still trying to figure it out, but I'm thinking and I'm hopeful that maybe the next meeting, Aaron and I will have been able to connect with Green Card Voices and get some more details together and start thinking about how that might look as far as, because you all know there's a funding piece to this. And I know last year the Human Rights Commission was thinking that might be part of how it uses its funds. I think that could be an opportunity again, but not, doesn't have to necessarily be just, you all pushing that forward. So more to come on that one, but I'm kind of excited that might be an opportunity as well and a good use of the gallery space. One thing that's also being thought about with that, this is a little twist from last time we approached it, is that Carver County Arts Consortium, now with them being a closer partner of our Parks and Rec department, is that they're planning to do a broader sort of honoring cultures exhibit during that time frame as well. So trying to bring in art that honors, the cultures that exist in our community, maybe is even, created by people of various backgrounds, and really, trying to celebrate that during that time and having that Green Card Voices exhibit be a supplement to that. So more to come. Those are sort of ideas and high level thoughts at this point, but we'll be continuing to work on that. We got some summer park activities want to share with you. May 5th, which is coming up very soon. One of our instructors, Maria Ochoa, who I don't know if you've ever met her, but she's very fun to work with and puts on some great classes. is going to be doing Zumba in the park. So protocol is we've got 50 spaces for that. The class is already full. So you'll just, if you haven't signed up, just, keep your
Too bad.
Zumba shoes on the sidelines and we'll try to get you into another one. So I know Maria really enjoys teaching that class, and I wouldn't be shocked if there's more opportunities beyond May 5th for that. Another one on Fireman's Park Stage. This is part of the summer concert series, a 9-piece orchestra that goes by the name of Salsa del Sol. They're Twin Cities based. Will be performing on July 16th from 7 until 8:30 p.m. They do various styles of dance music from Spanish-speaking regions of the Caribbean is kind of where they get their inspiration from. So I'm going to try to list off, and I'll do my best. I'm not a Spanish speaker, so I'm going to do my best and try to explain or provide the different styles that they perform. Son montuno, plena, cha-cha, bachata, timba, and salsa. So I don't know how I did with my pronunciations, but my daughter, 7-year-old, is attending school at La Academia, and she's been very interested in teaching me how to pronounce things correctly in Spanish. So I'm trying to be a good learner. If you have ideas about that event, Tessa Syverson is the person at the Parks Department who's working on that, and she'd love to hear your feedback and is certainly open to input on those uses of the park. Story walks. So that was something that we did last year, partnering with Parks and Rec. We this year are looking at Fireman's Park and also Community Park in Carver. So I don't know if you know, our Parks and Rec department provides joint park services with the city of Carver. So we try to do things in both communities. There's a number of dates here, and you'll get that information when I share it with you. But what they're trying to do, and they're in preliminary discussions on the story walks, is think through weaving in within that programming, because they've got a number of different dates, so they do different story walks each time, but having a focus on diversity and inclusion, and trying to include some stories that get at those concepts. So they target children and families, but it does give a fun reason to go out to the park and take a stroll and kind of enjoy a story while you're doing that. And I think it also gives an opportunity to tell some stories that help expose people to new ideas and different stories and backgrounds and things like that. So that's something that they're thinking about and trying to weave into that. And I think that's another one where if you've got ideas or a favorite story that you think could lend itself well to a story walk, please share that, and we're interested in those ideas. And I'm just scrolling down. I think that's that. So that's the Parks and Rec update and some of the programming and things that they're working on. And like I said, they very much appreciate your insight and input. So unfortunately, Marshall's not here to engage in a dialogue tonight, but if you got ideas, send them my way. You've got my contact information, and I will gladly share that on your behalf, or, I can make sure that you've got Marshall's contact information as well. And he's always willing to have creative discussions. He enjoys that stuff. So any
Great.
questions or thoughts?
Well, I just, your overview really reflects the programming and the, I think, very thoughtful programming that Parks and Recreation is doing to reach all members of our community. And that's great to see, whether it's honoring culture through art, through green cards, the story walk. Those are all great ideas, and I look forward to seeing those activities and how members of the Human Rights Commission can help Parks and Recreation carry those out this year.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else have any comments? We're quiet. Okay, well, next on our agenda is approval of the minutes. And those are the draft minutes of the March 25th, 2020 meeting. I have several items that need to be addressed in the minutes, but does anybody else have any? Okay, I would say that item 6B, the letter to the editor, ran together with the discussion with regards to creating a statement the Asian hate statement. And so I think we need to have a 6C item there that says discussion was shared with regards to creating a statement regarding Asian hate. And the commission agreeing to reach out to the city administrator. And then further down after the discussion, the decision was made to move forward with sending the statement against anti-Asian hate.
So Commissioner Carlson,
It's very,
I think I'm just going to suggest if you maybe you want to email me the changes.
Sure.
It sounds like it's a little bit in depth.
got it.
The other thing that I would just throw out there, I'd have to look back at what the agenda was for that evening, but I don't, if there was no 6C item, I think that discussion sort of came up organically as we were talking about that, if I remember correctly. So I don't know that we can add a 6C to the minutes, but maybe what we could do is try to divide the conversation in some ways. It's a little more clear that they were separate topics or something.
Okay. Does anybody else have any corrections or changes to the minutes? Having heard none, may I have a motion to approve the minutes then with pending corrections?
Welbert makes a motion to approve the minutes with corrections.
Is there a second?
Hubbard will second it.
Motion's made by Jennifer Welver, seconded by Martin Hubbard. There's no further questions or discussions. All those in favor signify by saying aye or yes when Nate does the roll call.
Commissioner Haga,
Aye.
Commissioner Welbert,
Yes.
Commissioner Castillo,
Aye.
Commissioner Sienna White,
Aye.
Commissioner Hubbard,
Yes.
Commissioner Lisa White,
Yes.
and Commissioner Carlson.
Yes. Our treasurer's report is next, and Nate, I think you are the person with the money.
Person who oversees the money. There were no new expenses for the month of April, so the balance remains the same. And I'm just scrolling down to my report here, as it was in March, which is $1,925.
I do have a question about that though for purchases. We've gotten t-shirts before and we have quite a few new members on the commission. So should we do orders again for t-shirts?
If folks desire them and the commission wants to continue to supply, yeah, we could do that. I think so. For everyone who's new, the t-shirts that had been ordered in the past were, I believe, yellow, right? And had the Human Rights Commission logo on them. And I don't remember if we did black with the logo.
I think it's green.
Is it green? Okay. And I think the logo was sort of, front and center on the shirt, screen print. So if people desire that, I can, Lisa's making a motion towards her shoulder. So maybe it was a smaller one up here. Okay. All right. Either that or she's showing me her heart. But I think I think, yeah, so a smaller logo up on the heart. And so that's the shirt. But if you're all interested in that, I can maybe through email find out, what size you would want, and we can get that ordered for you. I guess I don't recall what the cost was, but it's well within our $1,900 we have available. So.
And we just get the t-shirts for different events. Specifically River City Days, it's nice to have them just to kind of, show you're on the commission. But then there's other events you can wear, or you can just wear it because you want to show it off in town too.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. New business. I see that I'm on to provide you with a Chaska pedestrian and bicycle master plan update. And so I wanted to share with you that I've been representing the Human Rights Commission on the Bike Walk Awareness Committee for this year. And recently, the city has hired, the Parks and Recreation Department has hired Antonio Rosell with Community Design Group. He represents a planning and design firm that's worked in Minneapolis, Fergus Falls, Edina, developing bike and walking opportunities within those communities and designing them. So initially, the Bike Awareness Committee has been working with him to develop an online survey and a wiki map, which allows folks to go on and answer some very basic questions about walking in Chaska and or bicycling in Chaska. And also, this wiki map is really cool because you can go and you can draw where you think another bike area or walking area could or should be added. It also allows you to mark places of interest that may or may not be accessible by our trail system. It's a really exciting effort that the city is undertaking to make biking and walking more safe in our community. And in the next few days, you'll be able to sign on to a link to complete this online survey and use the Wikimap feature. The design group is hoping to achieve 1,000 responses in a relatively short period of time to get a wide range of community feedback about walking and biking in Chaska. And so when this link comes to you, I encourage you to take, it won't take, the survey says it will take up to 15 minutes. Not. Just take a few moments out of your day and answer the questions so that we can have good feedback on the planning going forward. It's a fairly aggressive plan that they anticipate developing further this year. So 1,000 survey responses, taking a look where our trails and currently serve our community. I think from the Human Rights Commission standpoint, it gives us the opportunity to say, hey, this area of our city is unserved by trails or bikes, or perhaps they're it's not clear, they're not clearly marked. So good feedback is critical moving this program forward. So look for that link for the Bicycle Awareness Committee coming to you within the next few days. And after you have a chance to look at it, if you will share it with your network of community friends. Again, the goal is to reach at least 1,000 people. And all of that feedback will be taken and put into action this year. So look for it and you'll like it. Nate, any additional things I didn't cover that you might add? You're muted.
All right. I would just, emphasize your help spreading the word and encouraging feedback is going to be very helpful. And I think the more participation we can get, the broader perspective we can gather, the more we can understand what our community's needs are in this area. I also think it's important for the Human Rights Commission to understand, and you probably do, but just to be clear on why this is an important Human Rights Commission topic. That was something that we talked about maybe a year ago or so when Sarah started getting involved in this project. And I think from this is my perspective, is that transportation, which bicycling and pedestrian, walking provides, those are modes of that, is critical to access basic needs. So whether that be a job, healthcare, just basic supplies like getting to the grocery store, all of those things are really important for everybody. And so for those of us who are fortunate to have a vehicle that we can rely on, we probably don't think about that a whole lot. But if you consider the situation where that's not the case, it takes a whole lot more work and effort to do the daily tasks that you need to do to get along with your life. And so that's a hurdle. And so the more that we can, create a built environment that takes those hurdles away and reduces that, and enables people to get around and do the business they need to do to be a part of, functioning society and all of that, the better off everyone can be. So that's kind of the connection, at least in my opinion, to the Human Rights Commission and the work that you're all trying to put forward.
I have a question about it. We had talked about this a year or two ago, but at that time, I understood it as that we were trying to get a designation as a bike-friendly community.
Mhm.
Has this evolved into something different, or is that still one of the end goals?
It is.
That still remains a goal. There was a sort of audit done early on and came up with a list of things that would help improve our application. So the application isn't easy and it's not free. And I think what we want to do is set ourselves up for likely success in that application when we do submit it. And so having received that audit, this is one of the items among a few others that was suggested that be done to set ourselves up for a better likelihood of success. Another thing that you may have seen in the community that we have done was beginning to get, well, I wouldn't say we're done, but we began to work on it, is some wayfinding signage on our trail system. And so you may see there white signs with a black border, and I think they've got either green or orange arrows on them. So there's a loop, and then there's sort of a green line, we call it, that go through Chaska. And that's the beginnings of an implementation of a wayfinding sign program. I don't know if you've explored our trails, but if you're anything like me, you've gotten lost on them because it's pretty easy to get turned around. So which can be fun, but if you're trying to get somewhere, it's a little frustrating. So
I like that there's the addition of the pedestrian focus too. I think that just makes it more accessible to more people, and not everyone rides bikes. So I think that that's good that it's included.
Yeah, I think it's important. I think that when we're talking about Chaska being a community for all age groups, from young bicyclists to more advanced bicyclists and to walkers in various stages, whether it's via a carriage, probably they don't call it a carriage anymore, via whatever they call it, a wagon,
Stroller.
maybe a stroller, or to see older persons, more mature persons on our trails. That's the concept behind that. So it's great to be part of this bike awareness committee and develop and see the development of these plans to create that. So, any other questions?
I have a few questions.
Yes.
Did you say that there's two different ways to give some input, both a survey and a wiki that you can kind of edit and mark, or just one? Is that one and all together?
It is two separate, there'll be two separate links. One is the survey, and then the second one is the wiki map.
And are those the only two ways to give input, or has there been any consideration of community outreach efforts or kind of some
Yep.
form of a public meeting or something?
Yes, there will be a public meeting, and that has not been scheduled, has it, Nate?
No, it's not scheduled yet. Yeah, there'll be public meeting, and then there's also intention to have, interactions at community events and things like that, so that,
Right.
they're going out to where people are already gathering and maybe have a tent, like at the River City Days event or something like that. Fire and Ice would be another opportunity
Right.
to be present there and be able to interact with people and get feedback that way. So there will be multiple ways. This is just the first sort of launch of beginning to gather input.
Do we have the capability to translate the survey, or is that too much to ask?
I don't think so. I will look at whether that's already been done, and if not, try to get that done. That's a really good idea.
And then as far as the survey goes, are we going to take in, or I guess, are you as part of the committee going to take in any sort of information from who the answerer is? Maybe even like their address or the street they live in. I'm just curious to see how the responses come in and whether the responses are representative of the community itself.
They ask in the survey, it's a demographic, what age you are. There's an income question, but I believe that is optional. I do not think that they ask for address. Nate, can you add any more clarification?
Yeah, I'm not aware of an address ask.
I'm not-
Typically, that can be a good and a bad. Sometimes it can be a detriment to survey response where people would prefer to stay anonymous and not, have that information known. And so for that reason, most of the time, you don't see that asked in a community survey.
But do they
But I think
ask,
go ahead.
do they ask, I mean, when Eder said that, it made me think of, could there be a question about like, what area do you typically walk in or bike in or something? To give an idea, I mean, if I live in Jonathan, and if everyone from Jonathan answers, but everyone in Brandondale does not answer, that's not representative of the community.
Mhm.
That is true. The survey has been developed and is ready to be rolled out. There was, I think, maybe 10 days worth of opportunities for the Bike Awareness Committee folks to respond and say, hey, this looks good. There were some tweaks to that before the final product went out. But like I said, this is hot off the press. I think the survey just went live today, or it goes live tomorrow. Any other questions? Well, let's move on to committee updates. And I think all of you have received the kind of listing of the committee updates. I think several of the committees have met already. And maybe it would be helpful just to kind of do a quick report on if committees have had a chance to meet. So beginning with the MLK group, Jen, do you have a couple of words to say about that?
Sure. We met on April 14th for a meeting, just to begin initial plans for the 2022 MLK event. We started developing a list of potential keynote speakers. And we really didn't focus on many other details right now because we want to get the keynote speaker secured as the first priority. And then the rest of it we can plan as the year goes on. So, we're in some real creative and brainstorming phase right now, like talking about ways we can involve a variety of organizations to like enhance the community-wide feel of the celebration. But right now, I think we're in a lot of the dreaming phase for a lot of it, kind of just think of all the possibilities. And we plan to meet again on May 12th so that we can kind of hopefully decide on the speaker and get that invitation out so that we can at least have that part in place, and then we can move on to the other parts. And Sienna, do you have anything else to add from that?
I do not. I think you covered all of it.
Great, thanks. River City Days. Have you had a chance to meet yet?
We have not had a chance to meet yet. We need to work on a few things. The most important thing is for everyone in the back of their head to keep in mind that if you want to volunteer to man the booth for a little bit. I think, Nate, did you do some kind of Google Doc thing before and we signed up in like 3-hour increments or something?
Yeah, I remember there was something. Yeah, so I can refresh that. We took a year off, so it's like, what did we do? But yes, there has been a way to sign up, and I don't remember. Now we've got a slightly larger commission, I think, and I don't, and all the chairs are full, and I don't know if that was necessarily the case last time we had a River City Days booth. So maybe it doesn't necessarily need to be a 3-hour if everyone takes a little bit. So, but yeah, I can put something together and try to figure that out.
That'd be great. And then so we have set up with the table, and we can set up the booth. Do we need new information? We have a new email. Is there like a new pamphlet we should be working on?
I think, well, we went down, and I think Vicky may have sent out a sort of summary of what she found that that exists in the
Yeah, yep, I got
and
that.
all that. She also was able to find there were fans that were ordered for a couple of them ago that I think they came in late, so we didn't have them to hand out at that event. So they're still there. And the good thing about fans is they have a long shelf life, so they're not moldy or anything. And they can be used as a swag item to give out this year if you would like. And so those are there. I guess my recommendation would be you can access City Hall. Just let me know, and you could come in and take a look at what exists and sort of evaluate how you feel about it. Whether you think that the information that's there still serves the purpose, or if we want to do a refresh. That's a good point, Lisa. We do have now, I think it's hrc@chaskamn.com. So we could do a refresh on a pamphlet and make sure that information is accurate. So that would be one item.
Even like a bookmark kind of thing with our mission statement, our contact information, and And the only other thing I thought of is we have a theme we operate around. An idea I had with help is celebrating community somehow. Talk about all the resources and everything available in Chaska. If anybody has other ideas, let me know. I will. Our commission will try and get together as soon as we can to talk about this stuff.
Lisa, have you heard anything from the River City Days Commission, or, excuse me, the River City Days Committee with regards to a date? Or are we still tentatively planning the last weekend in July?
That's the last I heard, Nate.
Let me see here. This year's dates, they're cautiously optimistic, they say on their website. This year's dates are July 23rd through 25th is what they're currently aiming for.
So everyone plan on being in town and maybe you could help.
Yeah, it's a huge help if, you know, everyone can take an hour or two out of the weekend and be present at the booth and kind of help, you know, have a presence there. You're gonna have more engagement if you've got people there to interact. So it's always a good thing. And typically city council has had a booth in the vicinity as well to be there. So you kind of have that friendly neighbor in addition to everyone else that's there. So.
And we usually only have the booth on the Friday and Saturday. We've tried it on Sunday before, and it just is such a much lower crowd of people that come, and oftentimes they're there for the car show. So, you know, you don't get many visitors at the booth. So kind of keep Friday or Saturday open if you want to help out.
Great.
Does this group want any assistance with helping to organize a time to meet or anything like that? I could send out a doodle poll and get a Zoom established, or it's really whatever works for you all.
I think that would be helpful.
Okay.
And get us all on the same page.
Okay.
Our next committee is the calendar. And Martin, you're the only person that's here tonight from that committee. Have you had a chance to meet?
We have not. I can't really say much on that. I think it would be helpful. I guess I would just leave it. We have not, and we need to kind of push that a little more. I think I'll just leave it at that.
I'll try to circulate a doodle for that one as well, and try to get some of these committees, just to understand too. There was coming out of last month's meeting, maybe only one person who signed up, and so we were still trying to, through email, for the folks that weren't able to attend, you know, see who wanted to participate and what. So that has sort of contributed to some of these groups just sort of coming together. So calendar committees, you all know, our commissioners, Hubbard, Sanderson, and Spreadberry. River City Days commissioners Hubbard, Spreadberry, and Lisa White.
The next is program, and that is Martin and myself, and we have not met. So
We will have to get together on that. I didn't know that you were on that one. So
the webpage.
Yeah.
Please go ahead. You're on mute.
I said, I'm good. Go ahead. Go ahead. We can
Okay.
email later.
The webpage is myself and Commissioner Sanderson, Hannah, and we have had a chance to meet with Kevin Wright and Nate Cabot earlier this week. And I think we've got some good ideas being generated for some changes in our webpage. And Hannah was able to meet with us in between her second COVID shot. So it was a little bit touch and go because, you know, that 15 minutes can be a little full of stress, but like I said, I think we've got some good ideas ready to bring back to the commission, perhaps next month or in June.
Mhm. Mhm.
Our empathetic response is Eder and Seth Spreadberry. And I don't know if you had a chance to meet yet, but I wanted to tell you or share with the entire commission, but certainly again, my sincere thanks for crafting such a wonderful statement on the anti-Asian hate statement. Your words were very thoughtful, and I think were a positive presentation to the city council, and I was very pleased with their response. So thank you for crafting that on behalf of the Human Rights Commission, Eder.
Thank you for that. And a big thanks to Seth, who's not here, for presenting that and being the face and the voice of the commission there at City Council. I thought he did a great job. And it's a special thanks to the City Council and the mayor for engaging in a conversation that was powerful to hear. And I think is exactly what the community needed to hear from its leadership. So that was fantastic. I don't know in the future what this group will look like. I guess, as you guys know, the city recently put out an empathetic response statement after the conviction of the big trial that was downtown that we all know about. And so I think that's actually the ideal way that things could turn out, is that if City Council takes the reins and puts out a statement, that we simply be sort of individuals who look over it and provide some input. But if it's coming straight from City Hall, then that's absolutely the best outcome that we can have. But Commissioner Spreadberry and I will keep our eyes on the news and the events that are happening in the world. And if anyone in the commission ever believes that we should be saying something about an event, then absolutely reach out to me and to Nate. And if you want to be a part of crafting a statement, I can always step away from the committee and allow anyone else to jump in there and then fill back in or however is needed. I don't plan to be like the official writer for everything. It's important to have a diversity of voices, and so feel free to jump in whenever you think you have the right words to say.
You did a beautiful job though, Eder, and so I really appreciate that. I gotta say, I don't know if excited is the right word, but I'm pleased to see that some major events were just occurring, and we've had more statements come out with either from the Human Rights Commission or with the, you know, like we're supporting the city in their statements. And that's happened more frequently in the last month than since I've been on the commission. And I hope that we can continue to provide ideas and support when there are different events that occurred that we need to support our community members.
I agree with you completely.
And to follow up on that, Eder has prompted us to think more about the police department, our Chaska Police Department. And I hope that each of you have had a chance to read his the copy of the email that was included with the packet this month. And I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about this at this point in time, Eder, or is this something that you would want to refer to the program committee of Martin and Sarah, who have not met yet, but promised to? Or how would you like to proceed, Eder?
Sure. So I can tell you a little bit about this email that I sent out to Commissioner Carlson and Nate after what occurred and what's been occurring in terms of policing here in Minnesota. I felt like the Human Rights Commission could take a further step beyond the statements that we issue and to start actually discussing very specific ideas about policing that are being kicked around nationally and across the state in terms of ways that we can improve it. I admire the Chaska Police Department immensely. I definitely could not live the life I live without the work that they do and in the way that they keep us safe every single day. And the point of the conversation would be to have a discussion about not just general policing, but like I said, more pointed ideas when it comes to the ways that we police. And so what I proposed to Nate and Sarah was to invite the chief of police to come in and present to us on policing in general, the use of force, and some specific questions that I've outlined on page 9 of our agenda packet. And Nate kindly actually forwarded that already to the chief of police. And I believe, if I'm not misinterpreting, that he agreed to come in and speak to us. And I think, again, if I'm not misinterpreting, that he could do that as soon as our next meeting in May. And so I put forth those questions there. Those are questions that I had about kind of what has happened since the death of George Floyd and since the events that have happened across the country. For example, one thing that happened was the death of Breonna Taylor, who was killed during a no-knock warrant, sort of as part of a mistake, actually. And that's led to a lot of reform in Louisville, and it's led to reform across the country. And it's something that I definitely would like to ask the chief of police about. And I would like to hear sort of the pros and cons, because I definitely know we have to weigh the pros and cons of officer safety versus the safety of citizens here in the community. And so I'm not sure, Commissioner Carlson, how you would like to proceed. If this is something that you believe should be postponed, that's okay with me. Or if the program committee would like to take some control of it, that's fine too. But I just proposed those questions and that idea.
Great. And apparently you've heard, or Nate, you have contacted Chief.
Oh yeah, I spoke with Ryan, Chief Seibert. I don't think he feels strongly either way how you address him, but he for those of you who've been on the commission for a little bit longer, you may recall, I think it was back in October of last year, or maybe it was November. He came and did a pretty lengthy presentation on some of similar topics, but not everything that Eder put forward in his email. Talking about policy and some of the community dialogues that were held following the murder of George Floyd, and outcomes of that, and some of the steps that he was intending to initiate at that time. And so this in some ways would be a follow-up to that, but also I think diving a little bit deeper, and also an opportunity for folks who weren't part of that conversation because they weren't on the Human Rights Commission at the time, to get that introduction and be brought up to speed a little bit on some of the things that he addressed at that point as well. So he's more than willing to do it. Ryan has told me on multiple occasions he's more than happy to be a part of the Human Rights Commission and have a relationship with you guys. He welcomes that. He wants your feedback. He wants to have a positive working relationship with the Human Rights Commission. Sees that as an important way to kind of give insight and help him with the work that he needs to do. So yeah, he offered up that as soon as May meeting, if that fits the agenda, he'd be willing to attend then. But I think he's pretty flexible. So
Well, Martin, I don't want to presume, but what do you think about a program in May with the chief?
I think it's a great idea. I would like to see it kind of. I had the pleasure of talking with the chief last summer. Real intelligent person, he's dedicated, really wants Chaska to be a better place. And I think opening it up to, I realize we probably can't do this in May, but opening it up to more community or more residents probably would be a good idea. The more people that can hear him speak, I think it would make people feel a little bit more at ease. And I realize you can do that through Zoom and whatever, but I think he has a great presence when he's speaking. So I think if we can get him in front of people, that would be, I think it would be pretty good. So.
Well, Nate, if you can firm up the appointment or the conversation in May for our May meeting, I think that would be great. And can we ask that we have a special notice of the meeting in our social media?
Yeah.
Kevin does a pretty good job of that. I think also those of us that have social media can kind of help spread the word. I think that does as much good as anything else, is that if we share to our networks that this is happening, that helps elevate the awareness of the event.
Yeah, I that's something we can do. We Kevin regularly will post that there's an agenda, that's available and if the meeting's happening, and he'll usually give a little synopsis of what's on the agenda. But we could take it a little bit further too, and maybe do a couple of those announcements or something, just get a little more repetition. I agree with Kaylee that if it can be shared amongst your networks, that just helps, draw further attention and knowledge to it. One thing that Ryan has been doing recently, and he wanted to be doing this since day one, but unfortunately his first day on the job was right around the time that we shut down everything due to COVID. But now that, he's been fully vaccinated, and a lot of people are getting, that opportunity, and it's becoming more, a little bit more safe to be proximate to each other. He's starting to do what he's calling the Coffee with the Cops series. And actually this morning, he was at Dunkin' Donuts holding one of those sessions. And so that's an opportunity, for people to get to know, Ryan and have a conversation with him, talk about whatever's on your mind. And those, I think, will continue to be done, and not always at Dunkin' Donuts. So if you like other coffee shops, I think he's, going to try and spread the wealth and the opportunity across different locations throughout the community. So those are opportunities that will become, I think, more regular and more available because the situation of the pandemic is changing, and I think it's changing in a positive way. So that would be just another one to be aware of. And I would say too, anytime any of you want to connect with Ryan, he's not hiding at all. So, feel free to approach him and give him a call or shoot him an email. He's willing to engage one-on-one or as a group or whatever makes sense. So, but I will extend the invite to him in May. Like I said, I already previewed that to him, so he won't be surprised that you all want to follow through on that. And so we'll get him locked in and have him as our guest speaker, I presume in May, unless there's something I'm unaware of that he'll make me aware of. So.
Great. Anything else for our agenda this evening? Our next meeting date is May 27th. If I'm looking at the calendar correctly.
I have the same date. Yep. So May 27th.
Hopefully during the next month, the committees can meet. We can make more progress that way. Appreciate any Google help or Google Meet opportunities that you can set up, Nate. That would be terrific. I failed to ask earlier if there was anybody on for public presentation or public comments. I have not seen anybody join our meeting this evening,
No.
but
Yeah, you didn't miss anybody. There wasn't anybody on from the public outside of the commission. So
Yeah.
you were right there. Mike, unless you want to, I see you unmuted yourself. You want to correct me if I'm wrong there.
No, you are correct. There wasn't anyone else that came aboard.
Yeah, thanks, Mike.
so then we will, unless there's any other business to come before the commission tonight, then I would say that I'll entertain a motion to adjourn and see you in May, if not sooner.
So moved, Haga.
Motion made by Haga or Kaylee. Is there a second?
Second, Elder.
Second by Jennifer. All in favor, just wave your hand and say bye-bye. Thank you all very much for being with us tonight.
Take care, everyone.
Bye, guys.